Jimbo Fisher, former FSU head coach, feeling away. Okay, we're done. We're done here. Deion Sanders not even talking, not even letting anybody know what's going down because, frankly, does he need to say anything? Nick Saban said plenty for the group. We're going to talk about the comments around NIL and, more importantly, Jordan Addison, one of our NIL candidates, decided he's leaving the ACC for brighter, sunnier skies. And so we're going to have that conversation with Drizzy Drake, our favorite, on Freestyle Friday. Let's get it.
Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. Thank you for making me your first listen each and every day. As you see, we have this brand new camera, which is lovely on this side, but the mic is still TBD because doesn't want to agree with me, and that's fine. But the audio is going to sound much better, thank the Lord, and we're going to vibe. I appreciate everyone's patience. I know the last couple episodes have been terrible to listen to. I personally have been cringing every time I try and go out Adobe Edition and change it, and I'm so grateful some of y'all still listened on my behalf. You still commented, even watching YouTube. The YouTube is fine. So if you're listening to the YouTube side of it, I appreciate you for watching my beautiful face. Even when I couldn't show my camera because there was just a lot going on. Again, you are appreciated. Now, say all that said, Drizzy Drake's in the building. We got a lot to go over. I don't want to waste time anymore talking about all of my woes in the podcast game. But Drake, how you feeling, big dog?
I'm good. The weekend is finally almost here. It's been a good work week for me too, as well. So personally too, I'm actually gonna be getting Lasik next month, so that's gonna be a big thing I'm gonna be doing. But no, I'm good, and I'm also been entertained a lot by what's been going on in college football when it comes to old Jimbo Fisher over there.
Way to bury the lead. What the heck? Lasik, your eyeball? You're gonna let them slice your eyeballs?
Girl, I have the worst vision known to man. I got -10 in my left eye and myopia, and I got -10.75 in my right eye, but with astigmatism. Your boy's got oval ass eyes. I can't be out here looking like that. And I just don't wear glasses on camera. I got them bifocals, man. Those soda bottles from like the 1800s. That's me.
I have contacts too, and I have glasses, and I swear, like every time I go back to the doctor every year, he's like, maybe just a little more, maybe just a little more. I'm like, damn it, man, and we're gonna be blind by the time I'm 35, probably.
Oh no, like I hadn't been to the doctor in 5 years. Like, so your vision changed. I'm like, how bad is it, doc? Well, I don't recommend you, driving with your current prescription, for a little bit. Let's get some new ones. And I'm like, damn, that bad? Yeah, my girlfriend had to drive me back to the from the eye doctor to make sure everything was okay.
Drake, you haven't
What's
been to
up?
the eye doctor in 5 years?
No, girl.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Maybe this is a whole healthcare conversation. Is it an insurance issue? What, like, why are you skipping doctor visit? It's a man thing. Like, why do y'all not want to go to the doctor?
The eye doctor?
Yes.
Because I was waiting for my prescription to run out, and it was happening to run out, and I was seeing fine, and then I'm like, you know what? It's starting to be a little worse, so let me just fix it up real quick.
Why didn't you just? Okay, fine. I'm not gonna go into this because I'm not gonna waste her. Okay. So you got me hot. You got me hot as fish grease, Nick Saban. Listen, Jimbo Fisher, former FSU head coach, sounded off of now Texas A&M coach, is feeling away after Nick Saban pretty much took to the web and everyone who would listen on I guess we call it interview he was having, talking about those who had pretty much gamed the system, taking millions of dollars, all of that good stuff. And now we're just sitting here frustrated. And he called out names. He called out specifically Jimbo. He called out specifically Deion, how they got a player $1 million to go to Jackson State down in Mississippi. Everyone was feeling away about that comment, but we'll get to that here in just a bit. As someone who has covered Florida State for these years, Jimbo's reaction, was it something where you're like, yep, that's Jimbo?
Nothing is better than an angry and pissed off Jimbo Fisher. I think it's probably one of the more entertaining things. It's like, it reminds you, I'm like, damn, I really like this guy. I wonder what happened when he was here. Oh, no, wait, he quit for an entire season. But, I mean, that's how he is. He doesn't bury the lead, even though I will say it was really funny where it says, I don't lie and I don't cheat. And I'm like, I specifically remember you saying 2 weeks before you went to Texas A&M that FSU was your home and you weren't going anywhere but FSU. And I also remember that you said the same thing the year before when LSU was trying to bring you over. But a lot of things he was saying, I mean, he's right. I mean, I don't know why they're having these conversations. I mean, they're grown adults. And then you have Nick Saban over at Alabama overall just saying like, hey, we got these kids over here, going to Texas A&M for 7 recruiting class or 7 kids, all the 5 stars. He didn't mention Travis Hunter by name, but obviously when you talk about a kid that basically was seen as the number 1 overall recruit going to Jackson State, I don't know why. We know who we're talking about. You didn't have to name him. You singled out the one school with that. So with Jimbo Fisher, like that was something that needed to be said. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Jimbo is one of those people that that man is he wants to smoke. That man is someone I would not travel with. That is a stout, short, angry man, and that's someone that I would not want to get the paws on me for.
Now, we have October 8th is the date that everyone has marked their calendars because that's when Alabama faces off against Texas A&M. If you ever needed any fuel, Aggies, that was it. And we're going to bring this around to, the AC conversation here. But I think it's just wild that someone who has benefited the most of having an historically well-run, oiled machine, wins on wins on wins. You don't do that from just got Jims and Joes that you built up and you're just this amazing coach. Like, let's keep that a band.
I'm going to just say it. Basically, I think it's really funny that Nick Saban always does this thing where he complains about one thing that's changing about college football, but then I think it's really always followed by him just, okay, you know what? If y'all gonna do this, I'm gonna do this anyways. Like if all the rest of y'all leave, okay, it's fine. But also, Nick Saban has been benefiting a lot from Alabama being a superpower, also by Alabama being financially stronger and financially more aggressive. Take that as you will overall across the college football landscape. And him and Dabo, I think they're the ones being the most vocal about their opinion on NIL because now it's allowing schools that have been like blue blood schools that haven't been successful the past few years. You see USC, you see Texas, you see Miami now trying to start becoming the football. You're seeing there's going to be other players in the realm. I'm not saying that we're going to go from like having this full parity in college football. That's not going to happen. But the sleeping giants or schools that were left by the wayside, FSU too. Like now we're going to be able to now that everything is up front and over the table. Let's make it instead of being 1 or 2 options as a champion, we might not have 5 or 6.
And let's be honest about the situation. College football, there's been a parity since the beginning. Like there's no way to say or mix bones about the fact that there has been a difference between your Power Fives, your top dogs, your FBS schools, and your Division II schools, your HBCUs. Like there's been financial differences we can just go down the list of the facility differences. Like it's ridiculous that we're even having this conversation like this is new news. But I will say when you mentioned Nick Saban talking about it and being one of these most vocal people, it kind of reminds me of Coach K. But what I respect about Coach K, I know you're all thinking Candace. What I respect about Coach K is he was honest with the times and the development of the guy. Like he never minced words. He was always a strong advocate for the sport. It wasn't a lamenting there were times where Coach K, all right, come on. But I think there were a lot of times where he's saying, well, yeah, this is what's going on. Make it equal or let these guys, they do a lot. Go get some money. Like I think that's the difference that I've found from a basketball sense. That we all know that that's going on and nobody really has this big fuss. The same way football is turning into this circus, it seems like.
But I think it's already been a circus. I think college football to me is the greatest reality TV show that's played in real time on your screen. Instead of being on Bravo, shout out Desperate Housewives. It's not Desperate. Shout out Housewives, OC. That's one of my favorites. But that to me is probably the best one. Like that's how it always has been. And also to me, college football also has been extremely similar to soccer because with especially over in Europe, where basically you have these teams that are being supported by their communities and by where they're from. Like Manchester United is my team. And Manchester, basically, you see how aggressive they are when it comes to their fan bases. They're basically feral at some points, but also they go aggressively after these other players. That's where, to me, CFP is starting to come a lot closer with that. But then you're saying about Coach K, I think that Coach K, if he hadn't retired this year, I think that he probably would have made some similar comments to Nick Saban because Nick Saban did come out saying that, okay, I meant more that I'm angry with basically how everything's been set up right now. I'm like, we know you're angry about both. You're pissed off about both. And it's okay, Nick. You don't have to apologize. We know how you really feel. But with Coach K, it just seems to me that we're seeing right now Roll Williams retired a year early than most people expected. Coach K kind of did the same thing right before NIL became sort of a crazy thing. And if we're going to be honest here, college basketball, have you seen the movie Blue Chips? I mean, that pretty much is based off a lot of stuff that you see with Penny Hardaway, with James Wiseman, you see with Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
I think in my personal opinion, college basketball, quite honestly, was probably more lucrative when it came to actually these kids because those shoe deals actually make a lot more money for them.
I mean, there's a fair point for sure. I think that ultimately what's what I enjoy about guys who know when to retire is like, when the game is past you, and when it's time. Maybe Nick Saban is knocking at the door saying, I can't keep up. I can't keep doing all these things. I've thrown enough money. I've thrown all the money I could throw. These guys still aren't coming here.
He's burning everything down on his way out. He's like, you know what? I'm too. I was like, was it Lethal Weapon? I'm too old for this nonsense. I'm just gonna go out, but I'm taking everyone out with me. Just like, here's all my complaints. Here's all my qualms. I'm out.
100%. It wouldn't surprise me if there's more to the story on that end. But guys, I want to also talk about the fact that Nick Saban talked about more than just Jimbo Fisher. He also had a conversation about Deion Sanders. But first, I love brownies, but I know that you might be interested in something even more delicious than that, and that is a brownie batter puff. Yes, the there it is, the brownie batter puff takes protein bars to a whole new level, and they're available right now on Built.com. If you haven't tried puff yet, you know what? This breed is just going great. Can you tell? If you haven't tried puffs yet, what are you waiting for? Puffs are 100% covered in real chocolate. They are a chocolate-covered marshmallow protein bar. That's just a lot to get out of it. It's 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, 17 grams of sugar. Brownie batter puffs are the perfect pick-me-up for any day. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order. For 15% off your order, go to Built.com using promo code LOCK15. Whoo, buddy. Alrighty, now that we got through that one, we're going to talk about Deion Sanders, who was in the mix of the conversations when it came to Nick Saban feeling like, hey, Travis Hunter getting $1 million, like, that's shady. How did he find that money? And to me, what pissed me off, several things, but number one, y'all don't ever feel a way about HBCUs and their athletes and what they're doing, but now that you've got top 5, top 10, number 1 guys wanting to go to these universities, now it's a problem. Now it's this big issue. Now we got to keep an eye on it. He couldn't have wanted to go to learn under Deion Sanders. He had to have money as an incentive to do that, and that's what bothered me most.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, there's the main thing with me, though, also, like, the money doesn't hurt. I mean, in my personal opinion,
never.
No, money never hurts to go somewhere. Like, listen, I know people that left for, different jobs. Like, I'm like, why? You have like a good home life here and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, they doubled my salary. I'm like, okay, you know what? I know what you make, now you make twice that.
Period.
You do what you want. But I mean, that was the thing that I had a problem with FSU fans being upset about. Like, I mean, I understood being upset with the whole announcement and then throwing the hat and then also not telling Norvell and staff. Like, that's, I'm behind that because I paid for my school there and everything else. Like, throwing the hat, I was not down for that. But you're having a kid who was the number 1 person at his position going to an HBCU to be coached by not probably the greatest defensive back of all time. And not only that, Deion has all these ends with Under Armour, with Gatorade, with everything. I mean, he's going to have the awkward, moment with Nick Saban with the Aflac commercial coming up soon. But overall, like, he's able to open up avenues for him to be playing. And the kid, I've been tracking his Instagram followers. He went from 128 from signing day to 340 as of this morning. 340,000 followers. And then also, exposure-wise, I seem like, oh, he's not going to get the exposure. Did y'all see that Jackson State had their spring game on ESPN? And whereas most ACC teams had it on ACC Network, which most cable channels don't carry. And also that Travis Hunter was actually at one of the days in the ESPN fights, and he was actually commenting. So let the man get paid. Stop bugging the kid, man. Let the man live, and don't make excuses for him what he wants to do. Granted, make $10 million, if that's what he got, that's what he got. But I don't like people making these opinions or these comments when, like, you probably would have done the same damn thing if you're in that situation.
Oh, preach, Drizzy Drake. Because I think at the end of the day, as someone who works in marketing, let me just say, I know the people at Aflac is having a terror. They're all stressed the hell out because they're like, how we have these campaigns, we're going into season 23, we're like, we got these commercials that we're about to shoot and all this other stuff, and I'm sure legal's going like, well, they're contractually obligated to work together, so I just know.
Oh, legal's like, we're good, you'll just deal with that when the director will deal with that nonsense, and everyone's still gonna get paid too, so.
Oh my God, I see some breach of contracts waiting to happen. But more than that, I just feel like you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, everyone has a price. I don't care what nobody says. Everybody has a price. There are certain things that you will be willing to do for the right freaking price. So let the kid live, because sometimes to me, I feel like some of these goobers, it's like, One, you either played college athletics and you never amounted to much, or you played college athletics and you had wished we had the NIL deals back in the day, and now you're trying to just be like, oh, we should do it the old traditional way. That's like the same people who say everyone should pay back their student loans. Like, hop off the nuts. Like, why are you so upset? It's just, I don't know. Everyone has to complain about something. If people don't go through the same struggle, they feel as if it's like, oh, you didn't experience the same things, you don't deserve whatever came your way.
I mean, there's no better way to put it than that. Just because you went through something doesn't mean I have to go through the same damn thing, and also basically, perpetuate the cycle for the next one. And that's just basically the way it is with that. And then with Travis Hunter, he's not on my team. That's why I'm talking. I really don't talk about him that much, except when we do the NL conversation. I wish the best of him of luck over there. And like I said, I would have definitely grabbed that same amount of money, because right now he probably makes more than I do, and I'm an attorney.
Don't block my blessing over here worried about the wrong thing, worried about what you got going on in your backyard. Like, when I sit here and say I have a great job, I do all that stuff, but if you told me right now all you had to do was follow one of these little NIL little boys around with the camera and you can make like $4 million, sign me up.
My boss does watch it, so no, I love my job, sir. No, I'm very excited to see you the other day, but no, he would understand you. He's a big Ohio State guy, so.
If Ryan Day said, hey, listen, I need you to come up here and just take legal aid and assistance for like $6 million a year. You don't even have to do much. Just like read over contracts for kids. Wouldn't you be on the first train? Or wouldn't your boss be on the first train smoking?
My boss would probably just literally leave in the dead of night, and we would not see him. Nah, he would let everybody know. But no, he's a big Ohio State guy. No, but that's true, though. Like, if you're given the opportunity to do something you love, but also you get compensated for it at a high value, and also it's going to open all these doors for you, you're going to do it. You're going to do what's best for you and your family. Screw the outside. Now, screw everybody else. Basically, this is the one time you can be selfish, is at this age and with this profession. Because football, it chews you up and spits you out really damn quick. It's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport.
Preach. Drizzy Drake, you're on one today now. Come on. Not for long is the NFL, and that's what all athletes should get money out of every single college institution, because when you think about how much these college kids are making, it's a tinkling in the bucket in comparison to how much these colleges make off you.
It is. And also, folks, too, what happens when markets, start opening up fast and start really high? There's going to be market corrections too. These high value prices aren't going to be there for very long. I mean, do y'all remember when we paid Brock Osweiler $70 million to play QB? Do y'all remember when running backs were getting paid the most in the league, but then everyone found out how much they actually have wear and tear and how much a lot of running backs in college are used for like 400 carries a year? So it's going to come down. So to me, like, these kids need to go understand their worth, because for the past 50, 60 years, they've made each institution and the NCAA loads of money. And hell, not even the coaches can say anything much, because the coaches didn't even start getting paid until 30 years ago. And now we have coaches that are making almost 7-figure salaries who are complaining. But you know what? You weren't complaining when we're making that much money, and now the other kids are going to get a little piece of that. So that's just me.
Let that soapbox is getting real heavy now. Okay. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all of our betting needs. Whether you're trying to figure out who is going to win that Texas A&M and Alabama matchup on October 8th, I know that's circled on my calendar. Maybe you should make it yours too. You can not only bet on that game, but also the basketball playoff. Shout out to the Miami Heat. Drizzy Drake is feeling it, against the Boston Celtics. You can bet on Major League Baseball games, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline is where the game starts. So we're wrapping up the show here with Drizzy Drake, and we mentioned the money, going after what you can get right away and fully just being into the moment. And after $3.5 million, it seems that Jordan Addison is taking his talents to the University of Southern California. He is going to be a Trojan. He is leaving the ACC. Couple thoughts here. Let's start with the fact that we knew he was never going back to Pitt, but to me, I felt like maybe he should be like Zay Flowers. Where's your loyalty, dog? But do you think it wasn't he didn't want to play with Keaton Slovis? Like, what was his decision to be like, nah, absolutely not Pitt?
I mean, so I like Keaton Slovis a lot. Here's the problem, and I say this about, like, I was a big fan of JT Daniels. I actually wanted to be a transfer that we went after actually at Florida State. The problem is they don't have the best clean bill of health. And I'm pretty sure King Slovis also had the shoulder injury of his throwing shoulder. And we've seen how that basically, if it's the worse it is, like basically you're going to be throwing it with like a water pistol. I think Alex Hornibrook had the same thing a few years ago at Wisconsin. So to me personally, I think if he stayed at Pitt, I think he would have kept that first round, I guess, regardless of who the QB was. But you saw how in the NFL draft, 6 wide receivers were taken? And most of them were at like big time schools. I think 3 of them were from Ohio State. And then like in USC with Drake London. I mean, listen, you look at Drake London, and I'm like, oh, I can go over here and play with Caleb Williams, who is also going to be another kid that's going to be the first round pick overall soon. Those options for me are a lot better than staying at Pitt. Now, I understand the loyalty thing where Pat Narduzzi, kept it like straight with you with that. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, loyalty is strong and you've been there for a while. But if you're not going to be able to have the best season for you, honestly, you should do what's best for you overall and your family.
Yeah, I struggle because I'm definitely a loyal person. Like, I'm loyal to a fault. I finish things out. But in the nature of the NFL, in the college football world, I have come to see that ain't nothing loyal amongst thieves. Like, it's all a business. It's all do what's best for you. We love you till we can't use you no more. Like, so I'm all for guys just doing what they need to do best. Like, yeah, you're going to hear the vitriol a little bit sometimes, but I think it's worth it to always make that decision for you.
Oh, no, that's very fair. And I think Zay Flowers didn't make anything wrong with saying with him. And also, like, counterpoint to Jordan Addison going to the Pac-12, all of his games are like in the middle of the night. You're not going to have that many people watching you. And also, in my personal opinion, what coach and what team out there has like a really, really strong defense overall?
Well, what did Lincoln Riley show anybody that's like, yeah, that's the coach I want to play for?
He did show that he had CeeDee Lamb drafted first round overall.
CeeDee could have been thrown to by a monkey.
Okay, you know what? You're right. You know what? You're right. You're right. CeeDee, Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Sir.
That's a first round pick right there. Hey, listen, Max always says this, and I think it's a great quote. GMs make the easiest job look extremely difficult because they make interesting picks.
All right, I'm gonna let that fester for all the fans out there who are probably gonna listen to Locked on Seminoles podcast a little bit down the road. Listen to Max. We'll circle back to that one of these days. But I do think that ultimately, Jordan Addison leaving the ACC is like we've had conversations all week about the ACC not really being star power, and having the guy who won the Blitnikoff Award leaving ain't really helping our case. And maybe the alliance will help, but no, probably not.
I mean, yeah, you said the alliance thing. I think I said the moment that dropped, I'm like, I didn't have much faith in that at all, period. But no, I mean, like, I know I saw the Paul Feinbaum comments, and I'm just sitting over here like, I mean, you guys have Vanderbilt in your conference. You guys have a Mississippi State team that hasn't done much of anything. You have an Ole Miss team that I think had their first 10-win season in their history of their entire career. You are basically, you're like the ACC where you're let afloat by 2 teams, Georgia and Alabama. And then what are you going to do? Like, the Big Ten is the only one, in my personal opinion, that should be struggling this up because they have Ohio State, they have Michigan, they have Penn State, and even Wisconsin's good every single damn year. So I know we're losing star power with Jordan Addison, but we have discussed this ad nauseum. We have probably the best top 5 QBs in the country, actually in our conference overall. Hell, you can even go to 7, down to 7.
Let's keep it a band though. I'm surprised that Jordan Addison didn't look within the house, keep it in-house, and want to go play at a place like Virginia. Like, why not go play with Brennan Armstrong, with Tony Elliott? And, like, I get they could find some money in Charlottesville. Trust me.
Would you? So I don't know how enter transfers work. I do know the SEC, you would need to sit out or you would need a waiver. I think the ACC, because I know Jordan Travis transferred from Louisville to FSU. That was before the portal. So to me, that could be an issue, but not an issue. That could be an option. But do you really want to put your last season overall in the hands of a first-year head coach when a lot of people also thought the QB that you had was only that dynamic because of Bronco Mendenhall? You might as well just stay home for that. You might as well stay home with Pat Narduzzi.
Fine, but then what about what you look at NC State? He could have been Devin Carter.
That's a better option. That's a better option. Why don't you go down to Miami with Tyler Van Dyke? Because they need to replace Charleston Rambo too. That's another one too.
I know you listened yesterday because I gave this option. I said Tyler Van Dyke and Mario Cristobal in Miami was the perfect spot because I know they found money in Miami.
Jordan, I know for a damn fact that Brandon Marion was very interested in coming to Florida State. You could have come down here. You could have helped out Jordan Travis. You could have been our number 1 option. Come on. Norvell got freaking Calvin Austin drafted. Like, listen.
And the way Pitt has a great fan base, doesn't compare to Miami and FSU. Like, doesn't even come close.
No, exactly. And that's also where I think that, like, Paul Feynman forgets that just because us two are down, like, when they actually do come back up. And I think with the hire Cristobal to help Miami, I do think Norvell will get the ship in the right direction towards either him or the next guy actually being able to do that. That when all three of us we're able to carry the conference by ourselves. And that's where I think Feinbaum is kind of, because I think he has misplaced anger with John Phillips. I think I texted you that on Monday where, you got to talk about John Swafford, right? You want to talk about, the guy that you guys talk to a lot with Raycom. But overall, like, to me, like, Paul Feinbaum, I get it. Just, you have your radio show with ESPN. Just to ease up a little bit because you don't want the smoke right now.
Paul, I'm so sorry I called your name wrong. I said Finnenbaum at least like 103 times on the show. But
No, the way he was talking outside of his mouth, he deserved to be called Finnenbaum.
I added extra ends that did not exist. However, I think at the end of the day, I'm still hyped about the ACC. I don't know about you. I don't know why everyone's so negative, but I'm ready for the season. I think we're going to do just fine. I'm honestly ready for NC State to do really well. I don't care what nobody says. And they fans need it. They need that energy. I'm ready for Miami to be good. I know you're not. I'm ready for, honestly, I want a battle in the Atlantic. Like, that would make a good year for me. Coastal is like, whatever at this point. I don't care. I've given up on UNC. I'm not even making a prediction this year. I don't care.
This is actually going to be a really, really fun season because there's a lot of coaches out there that need to prove that this is finally their year and they finally have their guys. And also with Mark Cristobal, he has a lot of hype behind him right now. He needs to do something because Tyler Van Dyke ain't going to be there next year. Tyler Van Dyke's going to get drafted because I would draft Tyler Van Dyke in a heartbeat. And also you have with the Atlantic, DJU needs to play or else he's going to get the Kelly Bryant treatment and get benched for Kay Klubnik. And then Devin Leary, Dave Doran, you need to win 10 games. You've never won 10 games at NC State. You've won 9. 1, 2, 3 times. You need to fix that, my guy.
Ooh,
Emily Cunningham.
Look, I love a little spice. Now we got a lot to cover throughout this entire offseason. I'm sure we can throw out predictions. I'm sure we can talk about who needs to do a little bit better or who needs to prove it, and especially from a coaching standpoint. Again, we talked about Nick Saban, we talked about Jimbo Fisher, and hopefully they can just meet of the minds, have a little powwow on the side, like they can just make it all work. At the end of the day, who gives it? We're having guys who make $20 million a piece, like crying. Like, I'm not feeling that bad for either.
They're probably going to be fine. Probably like drink a bunch of bourbon. I mean, I'm pretty sure they both have a lake house. I think on the same lake next to each other. I think it's those two, and I think Muschamp is also there. I think Kirby Smart's there too. And I was like, this is going to be a really, really funny banana boat ride. I really would love that picture, just like that picture of like LeBron, Melo, Wade, and Chris Paul just like put their faces on them. I'd be like, that'd be hilarious.
So the wives right now are literally texting each other like, "Oh shit."
Oh, you know for a damn fact, Saban's wife is like literally like, Nick, what the hell did you do? If he's like that,
Debbie Ann, we're supposed to have a cookout on Memorial Day weekend. Like, what are you doing? You already know that's how that's going down. Drizzy Drake, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Can you please remind these folks of where they can find you, follow your work?
You can follow me at Tally__Drake as you see below. You can follow my co-host at MaxMoody17. You can follow my other co-host, Dave Wise, at FSU Knowles. The O is a 0 and the S is a 5 because Dave is old. And you can follow the three of us at Knowles Anonymous, where we engage with our fans, where we get our themes for episodes, and also our Mailbag Mondays. As always, we're fans first, people second, podcast is third, and also Jordan Addison, I can still get you some cash if you do want to come to FSU. I can definitely help facilitate that.
I am crying. It's never too late. The season hasn't started yet. They haven't gone to camp yet, so there's still time. But guys, make sure you check out Locked On Seminoles podcast as well as all of our conference shows. And you can check out, more importantly, all of the ACC shows that we have here on the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as the Locked On NBA Draft. Got a lot of big things. Shout out to the Orlando Magic with number 1 pick. Okay, will it be Chet Holmgren or will we? Nope. Okay, you don't feel that? All right. I feel the vibes. Now, good luck to the Miami Heat this weekend. Shout out to Drizzy Drake. I hope they pull it out for you. Thoughts and prayers.
Let's go, Jimmy.
For Candace Cooper and Drizzy Drake, until next time.